Hello lovely people, how are you all doing today? I hope you're well. I'm okay. I'm having I've got a bit of a busy day and sort of like lots and lots and lots going on today, and I decided to have an at home do it all day because, well, the decision was made for me. One, by the weather, a lot of rain this morning. Yay, I don't have to water the garden. Ooh, hope I don't get blight. But also I'm waiting for a parcel, and I've been given a delivery slot of 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. But I'm really excited because it's a product that Pulte sell. If you remember, Pulte is the make of my new steam iron, which I haven't given a try out yet. But yeah, I've got a few new linens for the shop which will need soaking and washing and then ironing. So yeah, I bought this product from Pulte called Cal Stop, little vials of liquid. It's to help prevent the calcium build-up in the steamer section, because I live in a hard water area. It's really, really hard water where I am, which I can't remember, I think I may have mentioned it in comments or on Facebook. I love it. I love the taste of my water here. And it's weird, when I go to a soft water area, the water tastes like horrible. But of course, hard water means you get that lime scale build up. A few folk had said, oh, you have to use distilled water. Actually, with this iron, you mustn't use distilled water. It's just tap water, but with the addition of this calcium preventer. So it must be slightly acidic, I don't know. Anyway, that's what I'm waiting on today. So it could be that we get interrupted with it for the delivery chap. And every time I have a delivery, it doesn't happen very often, but every time I do, I think, I really want to have a block and tackle pulley system out of the front of the house to go down all those floors in a basket. Just pop it in the basket and then I can winch it up again. Anyway, so yes, waiting on that, doing a big cook up in the kitchen. I've got a couple of pots on the stove at the moment on a really low simmer. I'm making one of the things is a really rich, I want to say condensed, it's not condensed, what's the word? It's going to simmer, so it'll reduction. It's the sort of tomatoey sauce that's going to have beans in it to go with cabbage and other stuff. Actually, it's lovely in a jacket potato too. So that's on the go. I was actually going to start this in the kitchen whilst I was doing that, but I was taking so long because I've got some carrots in that tomato sauce that were a gift from my neighbours who have experimented this year. We kind of all knew what was going to happen, but they wanted to try transplanting carrots as little seedlings because we've all been having problems with carrots germinating when they're direct sown. So they have grown, but they are really kind of not just forked, but really kind of gnarly and knobbly, and they're kind of hard to clean, hard to chop up. And I think, well, frankly, they are fed up with them. They're sick of trying to clean them and cook with them. So they've handed a few to me the other day, and of course I said, thank you, yes, brilliant. Yes, I don't have any carrots. Although I think I've got 4 have come up. But yeah, I was really grateful for them. However, having this morning tried to get to grips with them, get them scrubbed and chopped up, what a fiddle and a faff. So I don't blame the lasses next door because, I mean, they're cooking with them pretty much every day. If I was having to go through that every day, I think I'd be giving them away too. Anyway, so yeah, there's cooking on the go, all sorts of other bits and bobs. I've got some new shop stock that I've been photographing this morning, haven't uploaded it yet. I can do that when the light goes later on. That's the kind of job I can do at sort of 10, 11 o'clock tonight. That's fine. What can I do while it's light? Where do I need to make the most of the light? And we're definitely getting into that time of year now, aren't we, where I turned my lights on at about 7:30 last night. Oh, I should say it's the 1st of September today in Vivi land. Hello. Oh, calendar. Turned the page. My sis calendar. Love this. Let me give you a close. Let me just see where the light's going. There you go. You can see it, can't you? It's Canterbury Cathedral, and this is their beautiful warhorse sculpture that's been created in the grounds. I don't know if you can make out from there, but it's all made from scraps, bits of scraps of wood, scraps of pallets. It's huge. If I was standing underneath it, I'd be sort of under its chin. Gorgeous. So that was lovely to see today. Thanks, sis. Yeah, so we're definitely kind of, I know we're due some, we're due some sunny weather in a week. Let's hope it stays lovely. Like the last few years, we've had beautiful Septembers and Octobers where we've got really good sunshine, warmth. It's just that those days, the daylight is getting a little bit more condensed now, isn't it? So I'm not thinking about winter yet. I can't bear to. But my mind does turn. I'm with that kind of rhythm of the season where if this is winter and a bit down and this is home a lot, and then as we get into spring and summer, this is I'm outside all the time if I can be, and it's very much the garden and just being out as much as I can. And as we come into September and October, of course the garden is still really important. So much to harvest, lots to harvest still, brilliant. Also, thank you for your kind comments on the last harvesting video. Yeah, I'm delighted. Yeah, and then so as we get sort of into October, my mind does turn more to the activities indoors. So I'll be starting to harvest lavender soon, and that means evenings spent on the sofa processing, stripping all the stalks. It takes hours and hours. And then when I have got daylight, and if I'm not in the garden, if it's a rainy day but there's good light, it's back to sewing. So yes, here we are heading into autumn. Fine, getting on with things at home. Now, one of the things, I've got a good prop here. I'm going to put a spanner in the works. It's my adjustable spanner. I'm so glad I found it. I hoiked this out last night and it sent my mind off in a million directions because for years this has been down at Auntie Teapot's house. Very quick explanation for anyone who's fairly new to the channel. Auntie Teapot was my great aunt, my grandma's younger sister, the baby sister of the whole family. And she died a couple of years ago, just shy of 101. She's an elderly lady. And for the last sort of 15 years or so, I've been sort of a carer and companion and a fix-it girl. So trying to get down to her on the Kent coast every week, shopping, cooking, washing, just bits and bobs, but also some house maintenance. So this ended up down there, where it got used a lot. And then last night I was drawing a bath. It's what made me think of it, because I turned the taps on, drip, drip, drip. I know it's not a washer issue. And I thought, did I ever bring my spanner back from Auntie Teapot's? Because at the end, everything, pretty much, apart from a few little treasures that got sent to different family members, pretty much the contents of the house went to a charity for them to pass on, whether it's, a fridge, a freezer, dinner plates, whatever it was, to folk who need them. Anyway, I suddenly thought, I was drawing the bath, did I ever get my spanner back from Auntie Teapot's? And as I stood over the bath, I'm a very visual person, and I kind of see the world as like photographs. And in my head, there's a photograph of my spanner in a drawer with a pair of pliers, a bit of wire wool, and a couple of other bits and bobs, the kind of screwdriver, my multi-headed screwdriver, you know those kind of tools that you go to most frequently. So they're in a little drawer, and I could see the picture of that in my mind's eye. So turned the taps off, came to that set of drawers, they're in the kitchen under the counter, opened the door, and there it was, lying exactly as the photograph in my head had been, with the pliers and the screwdriver and the chunk of wire wool. I was like, yay! I'm going to need it. But fishing it out, anyway, so I got it out, reassured myself, yes, my spanner's here, brilliant, right, now go and have my bath. And as I lay in the bath, I was having memories of a game I used to love playing when I was younger, as a kid quite a lot. But it was also a game I used to do a lot with my friends, if I was hosting for Christmas, for example, my waifs and strays Christmases, so for friends from overseas who can't get home, like Aussie friends, New Zealand friends, they can't get home, it's too expensive. Come to my house, come and crash and stay here. Not this place, this place would be too small. But yeah, we used to play, and I still love playing Rattlebag. Rattle as in it's rattling, Rattlebag. Do you know it by that name? Do you remember the game? There's different versions of it, but essentially, it's such a sweet classic parlour game. I really want to play Rattlebag. Really sweet, simple idea. Get a tray, kitchen tray, and onto it put 20, 30 small items. A pencil, an eraser, an egg cup, a paperclip, drawing pin, a rubber band, a fossil, a pebble, a hair clip, a frozen pea. It wouldn't be frozen, would it, if you were putting a bean seed? Just lots of small household objects, 20 or 30 or so of them. So someone's in charge, they are the rattlebagger. So if I'm the rattlebagger, I've got my tray. I might be in the kitchen with it and all my friends are sitting around the dining table. So I go in the kitchen and I lay out all these items on the tray and then cover it with a tea towel. Bring the tray in, put it on the dining table, take the tea towel off for a minute, maybe 2 minutes, and everyone looks, and then the cloth goes back on, and then we set the timer, and you've got a minute or 2 minutes, you can decide. Everyone's got a piece of paper and a pencil, and they've got to try and write down everything that was on the tray. Time's up, pass your piece of paper to the left, we're going to mark each other. How many could you remember? The actual proper official version of Rattlebag, though, is you get your minute to look at all the contents, and then the rattlebagger, everyone has to turn away for a second. The rattlebagger removes one item, everyone turns and looks again, and the first one to shout out, fossil, if I've removed the fossil, is the winner. Or to make it even more tricky, the rattlebagger removes one item and then smushes everything around on the tray so it's all in different places. Turn around, what's missing? I love that game. I used to be really, really good at it. I think that's what I mean about remembering. In my head, it's almost like the last time I put that in that drawer, it's like I'd taken a photo in my head, and that was in my filing cabinet in my brain. And it was exactly as I remembered it. So yeah, lovely bath last night, remembering games of Rattlebag and Christmases with the waifs and strays in my home. Lots of noise and lots of parlour games. I love parlour games. I'm one of those really annoying people who is so up for a parlour game, whether it's charades, Pictionary, anything like that. Love it, love it, love it. The reason I wanted to find my spanner is because the new taps have arrived. This is a bit of them. So they're going to go, if I'm the wall here, they're going to be wall mounted. And I need to attach, I just realised there's not a rest for it. There's not a rest for the shower. But anyway, the shower bit goes on the top. There's my on-off for the shower. But the main thing, and this is what I was measuring that day when I did it on camera actually, was where they are from the wall. See where this, oh, hang on. Oh, oh dear God, those stairs kill me. I have dreams about this now when I've moved to a ground floor place of, if the postie buzzes on my door, of just walking a few feet to the door on one level. Hello, thank you. Instead of 60 stairs down, 60 straight back up. And this is so annoying. Look, that's how, hold on a sec. Yeah, that's how thick the parcel is. It's 2 little boxes like that. Another one dangling here. That would have fit through my letterbox. Okay, good. I'm glad that's here, because actually in the last few days it can be really disruptive with deliveries, because the taps, I was waiting for my vitamin D to arrive the other day. You know, there are things I can't get in my neighbourhood, so I have to have them delivered. So that's it now, I think. Am I expecting anything? No, that's it. Taps, the cowl stop, my vitamins, brilliant. And yeah, what I was trying to say about the taps anyway is where they're attached to the wall here, where the spout is, firstly, the spout is pointing sort of slightly forwards into the bath. The other tap, it flares backwards, annoying, but also this lip of the tap is actually further, and it actually goes over the bath. So that should be that problem solved. So now all I have to do is find time to do it. It's on the list. Yeah, I've had, it was one of the days, sort of a couple of weeks ago, my back was really hurting and I didn't want to risk going to the garden and all that. So I got my pad out, a big pad, went around the whole flat, right. What are all the snagging list jobs to do? Create a huge, great long list with proper detail and the steps for each, you know, because some jobs need doing, but I need to do something before it. Break down all the steps. Now I can start to say, okay, I've got a couple of hours spare this Sunday morning, for example. Which of these jobs is a 2-hour job? Which of these jobs can I do without too much disruption, such as emptying a room completely, or that's not so messy that, you know, because some of those kind of DIY type jobs, if you've got 2 hours free, you can end up spending 2 hours doing all your prep, like moving things out of the way, putting down your drop sheets, and before you know it, it's time to clean your plastering float, or it's time to clean your paintbrush, whatever it is, and you haven't even done the job. So yeah, I've got that list now, and so at a glance I can think, well, that's a quick-ish job. It might only be a small job, but every time one of those small jobs gets ticked off the list, it gets me a little bit further along, doesn't it? And gets me to where I need to be, hopefully by next spring. So good. Taps. Adjustable spanner. What else? Oh, right. Let me just share this with you. And this is one of the... Hang on, I need a glove. I've got all hot now from running up... Well, I didn't run up the stairs. From whizzing up the stairs. I didn't whiz. Clambered. Yeah, it's one of those things in life, isn't it? These you know, waiting for deliveries, getting little jobs done. Suddenly you can lose a week and think, what the heck have I done this week? What have I produced? You know, I don't have a pile of sewing I've produced. Have I put any stock in the shop? Or, you know, yeah, time gets eaten up, doesn't it? And I had my time eaten up a little bit. Last week, was it? I lose track of time. Because, and I'm about to have a little gripe. I'm about to have a little bit of a whinge. So did I finally get around to it? Anyway, at the time, so a couple of months ago, it's now 3 months ago, I had my little shopping trip, if you remember. Had to go bra shopping. Ooh, hate it. You remember, it was a palaver, what have you, what have you. Now, I ended up on that day buying a 3-pack of bras, dead simple, dead plain, really unfussy, a black one, a white one, and a, you know, the nudie beige one, which I happen to have on today, the nudie beige. Really just, they do the job, no frills, literally no frills. And I think it was 25 quid for the 3-pack. I think it was 30 quid for the 3-pack. It made them £10 each, and I thought, that's great. But I also did buy one more that was 20 quid on its own, and it was the only one in the entire collection. My gripe back then was that all the bras for anything bigger than a C cup, they were all just so boring. Nothing pretty, no colours, no prettiness. But there was one, and it was a sort of blue with sort of almost lilac flowers on the fabricy bits. And then the top third of each cup, so not the whole cup, but the top third, in other words, the bit on top of your boob that's not taking any of the weight, I don't know how to put it, a bit lacy. Really lovely, and I thought, I am going to get that. I won't wear it often, 'cause, you know, I'll keep it for best. And actually, I had worn it, so this incident occurred at the beginning of August. I'd worn it 3 times until then. And I remember all 3 times specifically. One was, for example, my sister's funeral. You remember I was saying I'd got my dress out and I wanted to iron it, and I wanted everything to be pretty and perfect, because my sister was always pretty and perfect. So I had the nice bra on for that day. No one's going to see it, of course not. But I just wanted everything to be lovely and special. So, for example, that was one of the 3 occasions I'd worn the bra, and it was definitely a bra for best, for when I'm wearing a dress. So at the beginning of August, I was feeling really low. So I don't know, it was like the 1st or 2nd. I think it might have been prompted when I turned the calendar over to the 1st of August, and I had a really really missing my sis. I'm not going to go there today because I don't want to get weepy. So I decided, I was at home, I wasn't going out, I wasn't doing anything in particular, but on that day I thought, you know what, I'm going to wear a dress at home. I'm going to dress nicely and try somehow to trick myself into being a bit happier. So get dressed in the morning, get my special bra out, and one of the seams has entirely popped where the lace joins the fabric. It's just completely bust open. So I was like, just completely annoying. I'm thinking, I only bought this bra 2 months ago. I've worn it 3 times. That's ridiculous. It cost 20 quid. I expect better. So I thought, oh, never mind. I'll take it back to the shop. I fished the receipt out. I keep the receipts of things. So got the receipt together, and I thought, well, I'm not going today because I was already miserable that day anyway. I thought, right, okay, I'll go in a couple of days' time and I'll make a little session of it. I'll go and look at the fabric shop. I'll go and look in second-hand shops, see if I can find any more, fabric or books or what have you. I'll make a little morning of it. I don't want it to be all day. I don't have time for all day at the moment, but so off I jolly well went. So it's Marks and Spencer's. Now, I've always used Marks and Spencer's. Don't we all have our knickers from Marks and Spencer's? Marks and Spencer's used to do an extra long in tights as well. So the 60 denier tights that you wear in the winter. So I always used to go to M&S for my long tights. They've always been fab over the years, and if ever there's a problem with something, there's there's no quibble, there's nothing, you know, it's like, oh, I'm really sorry, here, da-da. So this that I've been flapping in my hand is a gift card. No, I'm not giving myself a gift. This is because they would not give me a refund on the bra. I'm outraged by this. I'm outraged. Oh, I'm wriggling. I'm a bit hot from running up the stairs. I'm outraged in a number of ways. I'm outraged at how I was treated that day, but also this policy. So I'd gone up to the counter, one behind the counter, and she was like, "Hey, can I help you?" Yeah. I said, "Hi, I bought this bra a couple of months ago. I've worn it a couple of times. This whole seam has burst open. I don't know if that's happened in the washing machine. There's a label, it's machine washable." I said, "But either way," I said, "Look, here's my receipt. I got my debit card out." I said, "Just, you know, can you just pop the money back on my debit card? Because I don't want to buy the same bra again. I don't want a swap because the same thing may happen. I'll just get a refund and then at some point I'll come bra shopping again." I didn't say all this to her, but this is my thinking. I don't want to go bra shopping today. So I said, "Look, it's broken. Here's my receipt. I'd like a refund, please." And but she was looking at me like, honestly, she looked at me as if I was a tramp that had just come in off the street. Now, I've got a lot of experience of retail when I had my bookshop, and I've got to tell you, two of my most regular customers were both what in the old days we'd have called tramps. They were both two gentlemen who chose, well, is chose the right word, mental health comes into it, but they lived on the streets, but they both loved to read, and they both had really interesting reading habits and really challenged me to find books for them. And one of them, he would pay me in really smelly 2p's, 5p's and 10p's. I don't care, it's money, isn't it? You know, I'm not going to be snobbish, like I'm not going to take that. I treated my two tramp gentleman customers, I know their names, I'm not going to say their names on camera though. In fact, they're probably, I don't know if they're still alive. But anyway, I treated them the same as I treated my customers who were members of the royal family. "You're my customers, what would you like?" Anyway, so this woman was giving me the proper dirties up and down. And she said, "Oh, I'll have to get a manager." I said, "Okay, I'll wait." So she came back with some geezer who, I don't even think he started shaving yet. And she picked it up like this. She went and handed it to him. She said, and explained, well, she must have said something to him on the way back, because she said, "This is it," holding it up as if it was dirty. It had been washed. I'd washed it and it had been in my cupboard. And he said, "Oh, yeah, I'm sorry, we don't give refunds on underwear." I was like, okay, I can understand it if I've worn something and changed my mind and just brought it back and said, "I don't like it." Yeah, I completely understand that, and there's hygiene and everything. But frankly, you know, with something like a bra, it's as close to my skin as a t-shirt or a vest. So I said, "We don't give refunds on underwear." And I said, "Yeah, but it's broken. It's completely bust open. It's not fit for purpose. Surely I have statutory rights. I've got consumer rights. You've sold it as a bra. It no longer functions as a bra." I said, "I've only worn it 3 times. You know, I expect you can't sell, I mean, surely you can't sell a bra and say, it's 20 quid, but you can only wear it 3 times. That's ridiculous." And this woman, she picked it up again and she went, "This has been worn hundreds of times," and then dropped it on the counter. What a bee. I looked at her, I said, "Well, considering I've only had it about 65 days, I said, honestly, I can absolutely promise you I've only worn it 3 times. Anyway, I stood my ground and he said, well, we can't give you a refund. I'll give you a credit note. You'll have to use it this month. And I said, I'm not going to be back again this month. I don't live in this area. I said, I won't be back here in a month. And I'm pretty sure you are actually contravening my rights. So you need to do better than that. So I got a gift voucher. They put it onto a voucher that's valid for 4 years. Great. But the woman, woman, she's like, on her side of the counter, the gift cards are on the customer side of the counter, all arranged like that. She went, choose a gift card. So, oh, am I getting a gift? I started being a bit sarky. I thought she was just being so rude. She was just rude, plain old rude. So I chose my gift card, flung it across the desk. So my 20 quid got put back onto that instead of into my bank account. Really, really disappointed. M&S, that's not good enough as far as I'm concerned. Because look, I think I understand them saying they don't want to take underwear back, and you certainly wouldn't want to take it back for resale. I wouldn't expect it to go on the shelf. But if it's something that's a seam that's completely bust open, and I mean, really, you know, in the space of 2 months, you could see on the receipt, you could see 3 more bras. So let's say I wore them all in rotation, 1 a day. 4 into, what did I just say, 65 days is, that'd be 15 uses at most. Yeah, I think they should have just given me a refund without the quibble. Or, because at one point, the little boy, the manager, said, well, we'll do this just this once as a favour. Mate, you ain't doing me any favours. You ain't doing me a favour. You're not losing out here. I'm not. Do you know what it was? I felt from the woman, I felt that her attitude towards me was I was trying to somehow get one over on them, trying to scam them somehow. I bought it 2 months ago. I expect it to last at least a year. Chop, chop, M&S. Anyway, right, that's my rant. Now, gosh, there's all sorts of other things I wanted to talk about today, but I am going to end today with a book. I'm going to look at a book. Sorry, stop, start. I thought I heard my phone vibrating. Yes, book. It also occurs to me back to the beginning of this video, and I was talking about that kind of rhythm of the seasons and how things change. Having done the garden and sort of been really committed to growing as much of my own food as possible over a number of years now, there's definitely my year is, there are 2 halves to my year. It's almost like I have 2 different lives. And in the late spring, all through summer, and then into the sort of first couple of months of the autumn, I'm a farmer. That's what I do. It's the winter when I get to do things like sewing and reading. I rarely get to read in the summer. However, every now and again, I probably, put it this way, in the winter I probably read anywhere between sort of 10 and 15 books in a month. In the summer, it might be only 1 book. But oh my goodness, this book, what a corker. It's an absolute corker. I'm boiling. It's because I've got the windows shut again because of traffic noise. Anyway, so this book was sent to me by my dear friend Jan. Hi Jan, she lives over on Vashon Island, so Seattle area. She messaged me back in, I think it was about March, to say, she said, I'm reading this great book. I think she was about a third of the way through it at the time. She said, oh my goodness, I think it's going to be right up your street. Gave me a brief outline, and I said, oh my goodness, that sounds so much like my kind of book. A few days later, the postman arrived with a book. So I immediately messaged her to say, oh my goodness, you finished that and got it posted to me so quickly. She said, I haven't finished my copy. I found another copy to send to you. She still hasn't finished her copy, and I don't know how, because I think I read this in a couple of days. I couldn't put it down. I forced myself. Let's say I started on the Tuesday. On Tuesday, well, about 2, 3 in the morning on Wednesday morning, I forced myself to put it down and then finished it the next day. And it's about 400 pages, so it's not a short book. I really didn't want to put it down. What is it, Vivi? What is it? Stop talking about it and tell us what it is. This book is called... Oh, let me see so I can see it as well. The Boys in the Boat by Daniel James Brown. There we go. What's the subtitle? You can read it and I can't. 9 Americans and their epic quest for gold at the 1936 Berlin Olympics. Okay, please don't turn off and don't tune out. Let me say right from the outset, yes, it's about rowing and the men's 8. But you don't have to be a rowing, fan, aficionado. You don't have to know anything about rowing to enjoy this book. I only ever really watched rowing at the Olympics. When I lived in West London, I sometimes would go down onto the Thames, very close to where I lived. There are a number of the boat houses, the row clubs. So whenever you see the university boat race that some of you overseas may have seen as well, when Oxford and Cambridge compete in April every year on the Thames, they go past a number of the boat houses. So I'd sometimes go down and watch the guys and girls rowing. But it's by no means my sport. The reason I'm mentioning that is because I think it's a cracking book, even if you're not particularly into sport. It's a really beautiful book and actually at times really so moving. I cried quite a few times reading it. So the premise of it, it's that there are almost sort of 3 stories sort of running in parallel through this book, the whole way through the book. Yes, it's about this crew of 8 who are hoping to represent America in the 36 Olympics. I think one of the reasons that Jan first picked it up is because all of this is for the crew at Washington University in Seattle. So yes, it is about that, but it's so much more. So the 3 stories that are running parallel, most of the book takes place from 1930 to 1936. It starts with these young men first going to university in their first year at uni, trying out for row club, and how they progress in it. And it ends sort of in 1936 with that final at the Olympics. We know the ending. But it doesn't spoil the book at all. So that's kind of the body of the book. So we get a lot of the lives of the university life, how they go each year, and there are races every year. They race California. There's a lot of kind of class stuff in there about East versus West in America, with the Eastern universities being, the posh ones, the moneyed ones, the Yales, the Harvards, the Princetons. It's all like, ooh. Whereas these kind of Washington boys and the California boys are being seen as a bit like, well, you're not serious. So there's all that. But the focus of the entire book is one particular young man in that crew. And it's his story, essentially, that we're following. And that's why, you don't really have to be into the rowing to be into this book. It's a biography of this young man. And actually, I read it, when did I finish it? I can't remember when I finished it, but I've now forgotten his name and Joe, that's it, of course. So this young man, Joe Rance, it's his biography, really. And it just happens that that period of 30 to 36 is most intensely looked at in the book. God, it's a hard read in places. So we go back to his childhood, and I made some notes, so excuse me looking at my own notes. It was a little while ago. I've got to say, I put this book down when I finished it. I finished it one night in the bathtub on my second day of reading. It was about 1 o'clock in the morning. I was having a bath. I had tears rolling down my cheeks at the end because I'd fallen in love with all eight of the boys in that boat. I've got to say, I know I'm going all over. I had a really strong reaction to this book, but Daniel James Brown, what a brilliant biographer, what a fantastic writer of other people's stories, because we get to the end of the book, it's 1936, it's the Olympics, the race happens. And then there's a little afterword chapter in which he tells us what all the guys then go on to do with their lives. And it gets right to the end and he catches us up on, this one died in 2000 and that one died in 1998 and that one died really young, or how they got through the war, because of course the war comes. And by the end, I felt like I knew all these characters, especially Joe Rance, the central one. I felt I knew them so well. I'd fallen completely in love with them all. I didn't want to let go of any of them. I wanted to keep hearing about their lives. I wanted to stay in their lives in the book. So yeah, like I said, I was in the bath, the tears rolling down my cheeks. I didn't want them to, because one minute I'm reading about these healthy, vital, strong young men in 1936, and the next thing it's 1996. And they're old men and they're dying, and it's like, no, I want them to keep going. Anyway, jump to the end, sorry. So back to Joe Rance. So he must have been born in, I wish I'd written it down, maybe 1916 or something. So the book, so never mind the rowing, it's covering US history, that really difficult time in US history, the Depression, the Dust Bowl. His mother dies when he's really quite young. I think he's 4. He ends up with a stepmother. They become a bit itinerant. They move here. They're looking for work. Dirt poor. And then at the age of 15, and I won't really go into it in case you want to read it, but there's such a shockingly awful moment in his life that for a modern reader, it just seems unimaginable to us. To anyone who's a parent, it will be unimaginable. In a nutshell, he gets abandoned. He comes home from school one day, the family have upped, they're off to try and start a new life somewhere else. But sorry lad, there's no room for you. You're going to have to just survive on your own. It's shocking. But he does, somehow he does, and he gets himself to the uni and he gets himself into the boat crew. So it's Joe's life that we're following. That's the central theme of the book. And around it massively is his crew club colleagues and friends. God, he's a survivor, that kid, that young man. But of course, also running parallel, and again, it's brilliant writing from Daniel James Brown. Because just when you're getting really happy, you're like, oh, he's going to make crew in the second year. Oh, yeah, he's doing really, really well. Then, bang, the writer hits us with that reality and that truth again of the political life around that these guys are all living through, both the Depression in America and the Dust Bowl and all that again, but the rise of Nazism and the 36 Olympics is going to be in Berlin. Hitler is going to try and showboat. So all the way through, as we go through the years from 30 to 36, there are moments in each chapter where he dips us back into German history and what was happening and that rise of the Nazis, and obviously it's horrible. But also in some of them, he sort of jumps forward. He sort of, it might be 1934 and something's going on, but of course we have the benefit of hindsight. We know what that led to, 6-8 years later, and that comes up in the book as well. So that's really hard. There are times when this is a hard read because, the depression in America, and then, God, the Nazi stuff. It's like, oh, but trust me, it is an incredibly hopeful, optimistic, powerful book. And what's wonderful is, with the way it's written, the whole book, you can feel that pace. Not only is the pace being driven on, but you can feel a gathering pace, and it's getting more and more exciting, and it's like, it's the book itself is like that race. We start off and we set a steady rhythm. We've got a stroke rate of 36, and as we go through the book, the stroke rate, the narrative, the stroke rate is rising and rising and rising, obviously to that denouement of the final at the Olympics. So it's brilliantly written from that point of view, that it has an inner pace and that's why I couldn't put it down. I really struggled that first night to put it down, because there's such a momentum in the narrative, whether I wanted to or not, I was being pulled along by this thing. But ultimately, and again, this is why he's such a clever writer, in the same way that he drops into each chapter this reminder of how horrific the Nazis were and that whole movement, there are also moments that drop in that, they just floored me so many times. We're reminded of the incredible fragility of this young man. Yeah, he's a survivor. He's scrapped and he's fought and he's hanging in there. And he might have put up something of an exterior, but Daniel Brown doesn't let us forget that inside there's this, I'm going to get upset talking about it, this really hurt soul, this young boy who has learned really early on in his life, don't love anyone, don't trust anyone, just don't. He's so fragile. What's beautiful is we kind of, with all the capture, we see him growing and learning to make bonds with people, learning to trust again, and that's gorgeous. And there's a moment where, I'll just say very briefly, it's I won't do it much justice, but there's a moment when the coach has a lot of faith in him, realises, he's really got something, but somehow he's just not connecting. He's not connecting with the other guys in the boat. And they have a boat builder, and at the time he's the world's most revered builder of these racing 8-man or 8-woman boats. I'm not sure whether women were racing at that point in the Olympics, quite probably not. But he's the most revered boat builder at that time. Of course, they're wooden boats. And there's something about this man. There's something almost mystical about him. So the coach approaches, and the boat builder, although he builds boats for teams all over the world or all over the country, I think he also he's an Englishman originally, and I think he still builds boats, or at that point was building boats for Oxford and Cambridge still. But he's based out of their boathouse. He's got his workshop upstairs. So the coach says to him, I just can't connect with this young man. Will you have a word with him? And his way of doing it, he's noticed, so the boat builder has noticed that young Joe, has a little look around his workshop sometimes. And one day he says to him, come on in, let me show you what I'm doing. and there follows this most beautiful, it's only on, lasts a couple of pages, it's a handful of paragraphs, but he talks about the boat builder talks about his relationship with the wood. It's 2 pages of poetry. It's beautiful, it's sublime. And even as I was reading it, gosh, I was feeling something. I don't know what it was, but I was feeling something. And throughout the course of that interaction between them both, there's a moment where he somehow starts the process of unlocking this young man. So beautiful. Wow, you know what? I found it a truly powerful, moving book. Beautifully written, cleverly written, intelligently written, with so in tune with those really deep emotions, those emotions that run quietly like a river in the night. It's just stunning. I can't recommend it enough. I put it down. Did I say this a minute ago? I don't know. I'm all over the place now. I'm back in the book. I'm suddenly back in the book. Like I said, I finished it in the bath. I was crying. There's quiet tears running down my cheeks. I put the book down and I thought, gosh, how silly. But then I thought, no, it's not silly. That's the power of good writing, is to move us. And it's, and I'm an empath. I'm going to feel for days and days and days afterwards. I couldn't get out of my head. It kept going through my head. I can see in my head, I could see Joe as a young man. I could see Joe as the older man. I could see the boathouse. I could see the whole crew. Could not stop thinking about it. And I had a pile of books next to the bed, my next sort of stack of books, and night after night after night I'd pick up, I go, no, I don't fancy it. What's the next one in the pile? And I had a pile of about 10 books, and I was like, I don't fancy it, don't fancy it. Because this book needed time to settle. Yeah. Beautiful, magnificent. Oh, there we go. On the front, the Seattle Times, their quote, breathtaking. It truly was. If you can get hold of a copy, please do give it a go. And don't worry if you're not really into rowing. I would say by the end you might be. But it's, it's so much more. It's history. It's world history in that moment. But also, more than anything, it's the tale of a really, really extraordinary young man. And it's the tale of how, despite the worst start in life, it doesn't mean that one has to turn out to be a bitter, nasty person. One can turn out to be a most glorious, wonderful individual. Right, I'm going to call it a day now, because I actually want to go off and wallow in this again for a moment and get a bit weepy, because it's not sad tears, it's tears of, it's for joy, it's for beauty, it's for the human soul surviving. All right, my lovelies, I will catch up with you again really soon, I hope. Probably back out in the garden, depending on the weather, because it looks like it's going to be a busy month, September. Gosh, there's so much to do. I'm not going to think about it today. I'll think about it when I'm in the garden. So until the next time, happy reading. Have a game of Rattlebag if you've got some friends over. Yeah, I really want to have a game again. Whatever you're up to, look, enjoy doing it. Be well doing it. Be happy doing it. Find your joy each day. Until the next one, cheerio.